What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Bartender Hideout. Today we are gonna start with episode number 6. This is actually one of my favorite and my co-workers actually, who is on the other side of the camera. We've been talking about this one for a while, so that's why we're both excited for this one. I hope you guys are as well. As you know, we are going to be looking at the top 50 most popular drinks in 2020. According to Drinks International. If you want to know which drinks are up next or that we already done, make sure to check the description so you can have a look there on where your favorite cocktail is going to be. Also, make sure to drop that in the comments if you want. And yeah, as I said, we're going to be going on to number 6 of the list, which today is going to be the Espresso Martini. Yeah, as I said, it's going to be one of my favorites. I'm going to let you know why in a little bit. But first, let's dive into the history of the Espresso Martini. It's time for the history of the Espresso Martini. This is actually going to be a little bit shorter since the research also was a little bit shorter. This is actually one of those cocktails where it's actually really clear of what happened. It's a little bit of a younger cocktail as well, so that makes it a little bit easier to retrace the steps, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't really have that many origin stories like some of the other ones, like the margarita before, that had like so many origin stories that I didn't even know where to start. With this one, it's pretty clear. So the Espresso Martini supposedly got made or invented in 1983 by this bartender, Dick Bratzel. He was working at the Soho Brasserie, and there he supposedly got a superstar or a supermodel at his bar. Still not really sure if that's the case or just like just like big man talk. We'll get into why in a little bit. But apparently she said, give me something that will wake me up but also fuck me up. So what did he do? He ended up going for his cocktail, figuring out which ingredients he was gonna need. Turns out his coffee station was a big mess, so he had coffee on his mind. People were drinking vodka all the time these days, so this kind of came from that and just ended up being a really, really good cocktail, at least in my mind. At first, this cocktail was called the vodka espresso, or he just ended up calling it a vodka espresso because that's basically what it was, vodka with espresso, and then a little bit of sugar syrup at the time, and some coffee liqueur, which I will be showing you obviously once we actually make this cocktail. Supposedly, the supermodel that he was talking about was Naomi Campbell. The only problem with that is that Naomi Campbell at the time was 13, so that really wouldn't add up since she wouldn't be able to drink, or wasn't of drinking age at least. Then if we're looking at Dick Bratzel as a bartender, he ended up coming up with another couple of classics. The Bramble is also a cocktail that he created. The Treacle is a cocktail that he created. And then you have the Russian Spring Punch, which is a cocktail I'm not familiar with, but maybe I can dive into it and make a separate video on that. If you'd like that, let us know as well. So from the vodka espresso, it kind of publicly became known as an Espresso Martini. I'll let you know where this martini name comes from in a little bit as well. If we look at the garnish for an Espresso Martini, normally it is 3 coffee beans and no more than 3, not less than 3. Since this is apparently it comes from Sambuca, where they also garnished with 3 coffee beans, and apparently it stands for con la mosca in Italian, which actually means with the fly if you translate it. And all of these coffee beans apparently stand for a word, so health, wealth, and happiness. So this is where that's why you only have 3 beans. So if you do a lot more beans, then I don't know if you get a lot more health, wealth, or happiness, but I think 3 is just a good baseline in that way. And yeah, looking at the word martini in this one is actually one of those things that is really a product of the 90s. back in the day, obviously, we've done the dry martini a couple of episodes ago that had martini in it, so that made sense why it's called a martini. With these, they call it neo martinis in a way, or like imposter martinis also is what they're called, I think. It's basically, in the end, it comes down to everything that's made, or a lot of these cocktails are made with vodka, and they are served in a martini glass. So I think in the end, that's kind of where it comes down to. That's the really simple explanation. Yeah, and I think that's about all I have for you guys on the history for now. Don't want to make this too long anyway. So let's actually start looking at making this drink, since that's going to be the best part of this one, I think. Okay guys, so let's get started with this one. Obviously we're going to be shaking this one for the people that already have made this before. For the people that don't know, we're going to shake this one. As to start off with, I'm going to be using Aristov, which is obviously a vodka, and I'm going to be using 60 mils or 2 ounces of that. Again, this is one cocktail, or a classic cocktail, that is actually pretty easy. A lot of the times in the original recipe there were actually 4 ingredients. Yeah, this is kind of my take on how I make the espresso martini, how I like it best. And I actually only have 3 ingredients because I think that just works together the best. Then as second ingredient, I'm going to be using a Kahlua. This is the reason actually why I don't use the sugar syrup, because I think Kahlua is pretty sweet already as a coffee liqueur. And if you add more sugar to it, it's kind of overwhelming, or like it's taken over a little bit, or a little bit too much in my opinion. So I am going to be using 40 mils of that. I'm not sure how much it is in ounces. I think an ounce and a quarter or something like that, but you'll see it on the screen. I'll figure it out by then. And then lastly, I will be using a cold espresso, as fresh as possible, but also, as I said, preferably cold. Because if we put in a hot espresso or a hot coffee, you can imagine that the dilution of the water there is going to be a lot more than we probably want to. So it's going to make the cocktail a little bit too watery. And then, of course, we're going to need a glass. It's been sitting in the fridge, so it's nice and cold. If you don't have a fridge nearby or whatever, then you can also use ice, crushed ice, whatever you want, to make sure that your glass is nice and cold as well. So we have all our ingredients in here. Let's shake. Add some ice again. Make sure once we give it a good tap so it doesn't come off through our shake, and let's go. Nice and hard shake, and there we go. And that should be nice and ready. Let's have a look. We're going to be double straining again, just as I said in previous episodes, just to make sure that we don't have those small little ice chips in there as well. And as you can see, this actually looks really nice already. I'm gonna be grabbing some coffee beans as a garnish. By now you guys should know how many we're gonna be using. Exactly, it's gonna be 3 of them. Just making sure we got a lot of health, wealth, and happiness here. There we go. Put that back. And that's it. As I said, super simple, but also a great cocktail. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now to the part that I've been looking forward to. Let's taste this one. Yeah, I think that's definitely how it should be. Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's just the The vodka in this one is not even too overpowering. Same goes with the coffee liqueur and with the espresso by itself. It's just, yeah. Yeah, that's really nice. Oopsie. I hope no one else wanted to taste that one, because that's pretty much gone. I guess that just shows my love for this cocktail in a kind of a way. Yeah, as I said, guys, make sure to make this one at home. It's a pretty simple cocktail to make at home. That's pretty much it for this episode, at least. If you want to make this one yourself, or you want to figure out what the next episodes are going to be, make sure to check out the list in the description below. Please let us know as well, which is your favorite cocktail. If you have any ideas of how we can make this channel better, also drop that in the comments. And for now, I'll see you guys next week. See ya.